maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around, like, oh no, somebody
Smoke
needs
monster.
the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30 weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
They don't come much closer than that. We will be with you one moment. We're going to keep you behind the curtain for just a second. We are live, everyone. It is... I've screwed up my intro already now. We are coming in by the skin of our teeth. Welcome, everybody.
It's only
we
like
are
the
live.
47th time you've jacked up the intro, so it's
It
not
is
a big
episode 65 of the Hardcore Casual broadcast. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame, and I am Mason of Online Infamy, and we are the conversation at the triangular table behind you, which we will get into momentarily. So, first of all, I just wanted to say that it has been a fun week. I have not had like real world stuff outside the channel. Not been the greatest week, but as far as the channel goes, this has been the most fun I've had in a long time with everything. And we had our like little Harry Potter thing. I think we've gotten most of our opinions out about that. We'll visit that later. But during that process, we had a lot of people that were not fans of our opinions, and one of those, we had somebody post something saying they disagreed with us wholeheartedly, and we were so appalled at hearing a dissenting opinion that we actually invited him to come and hang out with us for the whole show. So we've already introduced ourselves, so let me go ahead and bring on the guy that our guest here. So he is a gamer, he is an outdoorsman, and he's a streamer. So we'll go ahead and welcome.
And he's
Bear,
a service member.
Yeah, Bear Adventures. Hello, Bear. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Glad to hear it. Sorry it took me so long to jump on. I got a new camera and couldn't figure it out, so we'll keep working on that. But
see, I should have put money on it. Should have put money on it. That's what we speculated, man. I was like, I bet he's trying to get that camera going, and then Jay's thought the same thing. So
yeah.
Well, we understand. Hopefully you can get that sorted out. But yeah, welcome. Glad that you could make it, and thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be on. I'm very excited. I like the intro. Yeah, the Harry Potter thing kicked it off. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so we'll get into a little bit of the Harry Potter stuff later. I think we've gotten all of our no, just some very small things. I think we've gotten our opinions out right now. As more details come out, we'll go ahead and
please, Mother
that.
Mercy, someone light a match. Okay.
But yeah. So again, now that you are our first person in the third chair, so welcome. And yeah, anything that you want to contribute, you feel free. So we're gonna go through our typical format, which would basically be gaming news, and then we'll do TV and movies. Just other entertainment. And so we have some big news for games, or at least relatively big news for games. But then also one thing that Bear is known for is he's a big Star Wars fan, which I'm sure people can already gather from your backdrop there. So Jay has a bit of one of his famous lists that he does that will cater to Star Wars. In fact, it will cater more to Jay and Bear than myself, as I am. This is one that I am quite casual but still hardcore about. I like the movies. I've played the games, but comics, the books, all that stuff, I'm sort of out of the loop on. I watched some recap YouTube videos, and that's about it.
Well, man, I'm looking forward to it. I always love a good Star Wars category, and we have a matching poll for our viewers and or people that listen later tonight, so it'll be interesting to see where they fall on this, and whether our character that we bring up comes from a game or a movie, or a game or an animated show or a book or a comic. It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so before we get into the top big story that I wanted to get out, which I'll explain more of how it was disappointing that we didn't get all that I'd hoped for, but we still got some more. I'm curious, Bear, how are you? Assassin's Creed, you a fan?
I played Black Flag back in the day. I actually did. That's one of the, I don't want to say few games that I've played, but it was one of the games that I got pretty deep into. And I really liked it. Was I good at it? No. Am I good at any video game, really? I don't think so. But I actually really liked that game. Assassin's Creed, I think I've had two of them, and I liked both of them,
Well,
and I did enjoy the game.
if you
I
had
don't
to
know
play
too much
one
about the,
Assassin's Creed game on this show, though, that's the one you should have played. So,
For sure.
thumbs up on that one.
glad I can fit in on the conversation then. But yeah, I have played the game.
Awesome. So yeah, obviously Black Flag is peak Assassin's Creed as far as we're concerned here at Hardcore Casual, and we have
Yeah.
been nervous about the remake. For a long time, it was rumored, but it was like the worst kept secret in games. I mean, there were leaks all over the place. And then just a few weeks ago, it was finally officially confirmed with the artwork. We got that one artwork with Edward Kenway up on the sails, and we finally got a confirmation that it existed. Then we had two rumors going today. We had a rumor that there was going to be a state of play from Sony PlayStation, which did not end up happening. And then the other rumor was that we were going to get like a big trailer drop or release date or something like that on Assassin's Creed today. And that was speculated to be at the state of play. Neither of those things happened. However, we did still get some news regarding this. So basically, we first of all we have a confirmation of a release date for Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced before we get into the concerns and stuff that we have, which they'll get into a little bit here. But the release date has now been confirmed to be July 9th of 2026, which at first the leak that I was hearing was May 19th. But so now we're at July 9th, 2026. First of all, what do you have to think about that, Jay?
Okay, so first off, Grand Theft Auto Pirate is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm definitely looking forward to this game. I think July 9th is a little bit conservative. I think we may see like a 1 month delay probably on this. And I know you're going to jump me because of the GTA 6 stuff, and I'm always the person that thinks that big games are going to get delayed, mainly because big games normally get delayed, Mason.
Well, keep in mind this game already has been delayed. It was just delayed before it was officially announced multiple times.
Yeah, I just something being announced on April 16th for a July release date scares me. 1, 2, and we've talked about this a million times. I'm scared to death about this game, and mainly because of their previous pirate outing, which was the absolute unholy dumpster fire that is Skull and Bones.
Do you want to start this? Do you want to do the thing? Do we do the thing, or do you not want to start the thing up? Because I'll go.
Well, I mean, yeah, we can start the thing, but
okay.
As I mentioned, real quick though, as I mentioned to Bear on Discord today, we just want them to give us what we want, man. Why is that so difficult? Give us a pirate ship, make us the captain, and let us just sail around the ocean blowing shit up, because that's what we want to do. That's what made it so fantastic. I mean, every now and then I did enjoy jumping on land and skewering people with a sword, or hitting them with the berserker darts and just watch them fight each other, because that was like comedy. But yeah, nothing else. That's all we want.
So anytime anybody watches, it's somebody's first time seeing us, right? So you haven't seen the previous. If the Harry Potter fiasco was anything, it shows that people don't watch the video before or the video after or even the complete video that they're watching. So for those that are joining us for the first time, it is a pet peeve on this show, the whole Skull and Bones fiasco, and the fact that Ubisoft always learns the wrong lessons. They had a massive surprise hit with Black Flag, and they sent out back whenever they would actually do this, whenever they'd actually request fan feedback, and they asked, hey, this was a big success. We didn't expect this. Would you like more of this, but outside of the Assassin's Creed universe? The answer, of course, was an overwhelming yes. And so they took that information, and with that information, they did the exact opposite. They took out everything that everybody loved. They took out the ability to walk around third person as a pirate. They took away the ability to manage your ship and walk around it and all that stuff. And they turned it into just a weird little ship simulator thing. And yeah, they learned the wrong lessons, and they do it every fucking time. And the thing here, which we are nervous
There was our one F bomb.
There's our one
Way
use.
to go, dude. 10 minutes and 30 seconds, and now it's
maybe
burnt.
everybody gets one.
I'm glad
Everybody
it
gets
wasn't
one.
me.
I'll edit it out if I need to.
I'm surprised
There
it
it
wasn't me,
is.
and I'm glad.
There we go. We broke the seal. So the big thing here, this is where I'm nervous. All right. So not only, okay, so they released it. That's what we got. Or sorry, they didn't release it. They let us know the release date. So we now know that we have a confirmed release date. And the weird thing is that we had outlets actually get a 30-minute presentation for this game. So it was rumored.
Do we have access to that?
No,
or is
not
that
yet.
private?
Right now, we do not have access to it. So it was rumored to release, to have some big drop premiere today. They didn't do it, and instead, select outlets got to see it. So I guess they technically the leak was right in that there was going to be this big drop, but we didn't get to see it. And this, I'm sure, will be comforting to some people. It's not comforting to me. So basically, they said that there was this 30-minute presentation. There was a lot of new stuff, and it looked great, and everybody was happy. But this is the thing that gets me on this. So on this news story from Insider Gaming, they said, while we won't spoil what the game has in store, we can say it's been completely reworked with a bunch of new content and updates, and honestly, it looks awesome. So far, all good. Sounds great. Fantastic. Then we go to the but. But one thing was made clear. Despite the rumors and rumblings, Black Flag Resynced is not an RPG. This remains a solo adventure and character-driven experience. It is not an RPG. That is what the presentation said, in quote, was that it was not an RPG. Here's the concern that I have. We were never concerned that it was going to be an RPG. None of it's ever been an RPG. We have never had an Assassin's Creed RPG. Our concern was RPG-like elements within Assassin's Creed. So them just saying that it's not an RPG does not give me any confidence that the things that we feared, which was instead of what we wanted was the paired animations, and that was what we had in the original. So we wanted the paired animations. I still fear that we're going to get the hitbox combat system that's going to be dependent on your leveling and your positioning and all of this stuff, and that we're going to have the level system. So the fact them saying it's not an RPG, I'm sure there'll be some people that will wave that flag and count that as a victory. I'm not convinced. How about you?
Well, I want to say, first off, speaking with Bear a couple days ago, I know you're a big shooter guy. So what drew you in to Assassin's Creed Black Flag?
I liked, obviously I'm a Navy guy, so I like the ocean, and I kind of like the idea of commanding my own ship. It didn't always go good, but honestly, the open world, the amount of options, you're not driven in one specific area. You get the choice to do kind of what you want, upgrade what you want. Your character, you get to develop them in your own way. I guess my biggest question, because I haven't heard too much about what they're doing to this game, was it asked that they're doing this? Is it a big demand?
So everybody was very excited to have it. Everybody wanted it. But this is the problem. Like we said, like Ubisoft always learns the wrong lessons. So we had this big demand. Everybody was always like, man, what if we got Black Flag, but we got to have it on these way more powerful systems? We got to have all these like potentially, new like graphic systems, all that stuff, all these advantages. And so Ubisoft was like, okay, cool, we can do that. And then the rumor was that they were like, we will do that with all the stuff that you hate about the current Assassin's Creed games, which is the level system, things like that. So before, there was no level system. You didn't have like, oh, I picked up a sword. Okay, this one's a level 8. This one's a level 6. I guess that one's dead to me. I guess I'll carry this one until I get a better one. That didn't exist whenever the first Black Flag came out. Or the same thing with like the hood. Oh, this hood's a level 10. Let me ditch this level 6. That's been a thing that only came out recently, and they also used it as a way to, which doesn't make sense. We've actually talked about before in our mechanics video, where you have people and like, oh, well, you're walking up as an assassin, and this guy's a level 10, but you're a level 7, so you're going to swing a battle axe or whatever, and he's barely going to notice that you're there. So yeah, so the demand was certainly there. I just don't think that Ubisoft read the room, or at least that's not what the rumors indicated. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they did. I'd be shocked if they did. But so yeah, there was a demand. We're just nervous about the execution.
Well, and as much as we both talk about it, we're still going to play it.
Yeah, I'm curious. I gotta know. I
mean, we're going to play it. If you're like, hey man, I'm going to make you the captain of a pirate ship in the golden age of piracy. And while not a Navy guy, I love the ocean. And two of my guilty pleasures on that game, one was the shark fishing. I really enjoyed that. I know a lot of people hated that, having to throw the harpoon at the shark. I loved it. The other piece was every time I saw that rogue wave icon on the ocean, I went right for it. Because, I mean, trying to take a ship through a 45-foot wave, man, that was good times for me. I enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to it regardless. I just hope it's what we think it's going to be and not a Skull
I hope it's what I want it
reskin.
to be, because of what I think it's going to be is a disappointment. I hope it's not what I think it's going to be. I
Those
hope it's
were
what I
the
hope it's
leveling,
going to be.
the leveling system you mentioned, like that was an aspect that I liked. There wasn't like, oh, I need to be a level 6 to go fight with this guy or do this, or I like the open world about it. I don't want really limitations. And then I heard there was issues with the combat and how it kind of flowed. Is there any word if they're changing that, or
that's our concern? That is our concern. That is one of our primary concerns. So the combat system that they used in Black Flag and all of the previous Assassin's game before Black Flag was what's called a paired animation system. So they have this thing where it's like, okay, they can load in. We saw some crazy stuff with the paired animation system once they got into like Assassin's Creed Syndicate and stuff like that. But it's basically, if you're doing an attack and they're doing an attack, or they're doing an attack and you are hitting block, and it notices all these different variables, it just pairs that into an animation. What that allows it to do is it gives you a way more cinematic feel to the fights. You get all the swashbuckling. It can kind of do some of the sort of, ting, ting, ting stuff with the swords, and it looks really cinematic. It looks like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. And then after, like, in the later games, like after like Syndicate and those, the later games picked up this hitbox system where now, instead of this paired animation system where it really blends all this stuff and makes it feel really cinematic, you have essentially a block with a skin on it in front of you, and you swing, you can miss, they can block. If they block, it just kind of like does nothing. The parries, the really intricate parries are gone. And that was one of the things that we were afraid of. So that's one of the biggies whenever it comes to this, is we don't know what we're going to get. And our suspicion is it's going to be this hitbox as opposed to what it originally had, which was a paired animation combat system.
Do you think it would have been better for them to just make a whole new game around the concept? Or do you like the idea that they're revamping better?
What I hope,
great question.
What I hope is that something like this would actually, if they do it right, that it would revive the interest in it, just like the first one did. Whenever they're like, "Hey, do you want more?" and everybody was like, "Hell yeah!" and they're like, "Well, here." And then we got Skull and Bones. Hopefully, this time they could do it, and then people would get excited about it, and then we could get more in that direction again. Hopefully, maybe they'd listen. I don't know. And that's not all. So we do have another little level to this. That's the wrong word. We do have another layer to this, and that is the concept that we talked about before, where the rumor had been that, which again, Jay and I were totally on board with, and that is they would be removing the modern day aspect of the game. There was no more Animus. You weren't going to be in the Animus. You're just playing in the past. You don't have to worry about the Animus. You don't have to do any walking simulator stuff in the modern day. And that in exchange for that they were going to be restoring some content that they previously had not finished. So there were missions. Famously with Mary Reed was like the big one that they wanted to do more. They ran out of time. They weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
Now there's two things here. Let me make sure I read this. I'll try to read this verbatim without trying to correct any of it. It was a leak from Indonesia. However, the thing there is like apparently they're plurals in the Indonesian language. Uh, is a bit different. So whenever you do like a Google Translate, the plurals can throw you off. So maybe something sounds plural via the translation, but it's not. So here's the thing. This is what we get from the leak that came out of an Indonesian site. So it was, this title breathes new life into a fan favorite while remaining carefully faithful to the spirit of the original. It follows the story of charismatic pirate and assassin Edward Kenway as he adventures through 18th century Caribbean with parkours in cities and battles at seas in search of fortune and glory. Modernized in 2026, the new game includes a cast of new characters and stories. So some of that could be some translation, but over here, whenever from Insider Gaming, they do mention that it has been completely reworked with a bunch of new content and updates. So will we get new characters, entirely new story arcs?
Well, I mean, it's a historical fiction game. How many new characters can you really add?
Well, they don't
Because-
have to be historical figures. They could just be fake people that they threw in there, like a Dwale.
I mean, I get it, but you already had Blackbeard and Charles Vane and Horn of Gold and all the classic Mary Reed and Anne Bonny, so and Rogers Beckett and that whole bit. But you wonder what else they can add, and also don't take away some of those quests that we had before because they were stellar, man. There was one I remember where you're going through at night and you're just trying to go slow through there, and it's the lamps that are on stilts sticking out of the water, and you're trying to be quiet, and Blackbeard's being a dick the whole time, and you're just like, dude, can you just shut up? You're gonna get us busted. You end up in this gigantic nighttime swampy pirate fight, and you're just like, bro, this is peak right here, and I just don't want them to destroy stuff like that.
Yeah, what were you going to say, Bear?
I was going to say, so they keep mentioning they're going to modernize it.
Yeah.
That makes me very curious. That's a dangerous territory these days.
See,
I wonder what that means to them,
Exactly. That's the thing where it's like, what we would love is to see updated graphics and all that, but all the rumors before were that they were taking all these modern mechanics that we don't want. Like, we just want it to look even prettier. However, like we've said, the original, the OG, still looks great. If you want to, if you're watching right now and you haven't played it, you can still go play it and have a fantastic time. It still looks incredible.
Yeah.
In fact, I just had a viewer watch our piece on it earlier this week and say that they just started it and it still looks incredible. And I'll tell you another thing that sticks out to me. Could be nothing, could be cause for concern. So the same way that I don't like to hear reimagine whenever we talk about new properties, new projects, whatever, whether it's games, film, TV, whatever, they used a phrase that gives me pause. So in this description, they said that they said that while remaining carefully faithful to the spirit of the original. They didn't say, hey, we're remaining faithful to the original game. They said we're remaining faithful to the spirit of the original game. I think that we might have different opinions on what the spirit of the original game is.
I'm sure we do.
Yeah, that's concerning territory as well.
So
I'm sure we do.
So I still have all of the same concerns that I have previously had. All this new information, all these new details doesn't make me feel any better. I have no more confidence whatsoever. However, supposedly now they have delayed the release of this additional information by a week. So hopefully that holds true. And next week we will have been able to see something and we will know whether our fears are founded or not.
And yet, I'm going to go back to my original comment, and yet on July 9th, we'll still be playing it.
Yeah. Like
I
I
mean,
said, I'm gonna play it.
That's fair.
Gonna play it. I'm just
Yeah.
nervous. I'm just
Yeah.
nervous. So, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Assassin's Creed, Jay Bear?
Bear, go ahead if you have any.
Yeah, it's just they threw around so many words that have so many different meanings to different people.
It's a fair point.
Probably intentionally as well.
Exactly. It's kind of nerve-wracking. It gets you excited about it. Now, the danger in that is if you release it and it's horrible, it's such a letdown. But if they release it and it's amazing, it's a huge deal. So I really, really hope it's the better half of the two and it exceeds our expectations. Because I know I'm going to be playing it. I do like Assassin's Creed. It's one of the few games that I've put a few hours into. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best. I'll just say that.
I agree, and that's a good point. Also, it's simultaneously the best and worst time for Ubisoft to be taking this chance. Like, on one hand, the most recent Assassin's Creed entries, they've just gone down and down and down in fan reaction and quality, and we've been more and more turned off by the things that they're adding onto it, the level system and all these things. So, one, if you just put out an Assassin's Creed project, the expectations are pretty low right now. So if you say, hey, we're doing an Assassin's Creed game, boom, expectations are on the floor. And then all you got to do, you don't even have to make a great game. You can just, outperform those expectations and people, hey, all right, that's not too bad, On the other hand, the absolute favorite entry, anytime it's voted on in the entire series, is Black Flag, and they've already screwed it up once whenever they had this opportunity. So that's also the biggest risk, is that it is the most popular one. They've already screwed up an opportunity twice. They already screwed up an opportunity before. Will they screw that same opportunity up twice? I don't know. So it could go catastrophically one way or the other.
I'm going to play Angel's advocate here and go, because they royally screwed up with Skull and Bones and didn't give us what we want. And I do look at the things that they do well. And two of the properties that they do very well, Rainbow Six Siege has gotten, 12, 14 years worth of support. And
Along
you look
with
at the Division,
microtransactions.
and you look at the Division, we've been getting solid DLC from the Division for years, well past its prime, and still has a ridiculous player base that is surging today even. And with the different modes they've added, I'm hoping they look at that and they give us the Assassin's Creed game we want. And, on a side note, as a history person, I got to tell you, other than the age of piracy, the sad part for me is my other three favorite periods of history are Ancient Egypt, Greek, and Dark Ages England. And the three games after Black Flag were Egypt, Greek, Ancient Greece, and Dark Ages England. And
let's not forget feudal Japan.
Okay, that one doesn't count. We're not counting that as an Assassin's Creed game. We're counting that as some type of pipe dream that they smoked too many rocks on. But it's sad for me that people hated on some of those other three games I mentioned, because they were all also good. However, they did have the level system, and they did have you need 48 pieces of soft leather to make this chest piece, and I got to go hunt pigs for 2 hours to get this leather. And that part was annoying, obviously. But still, it's sad because, if you're playing it more as a history fan than you are as a game fan, you still loved it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Trying to say?
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll be on the burned list of terms for them. I don't want to hear reimagined. I don't ever want to hear Spirit of the original again, and I don't want to hear soft leather for Jay's sake. We don't ever need to hear soft leather again.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I mean, I have nightmares about that soft leather. It's freaking ridiculous. But if you're an Ancient Egypt just buff, that first time you got in one of them little ass canoe things, and you left Alexandria and you came down the Nile all the way down to Giza and saw the Great Pyramids, dude, come on. I mean, that was legit. And I even like the little history tours that you could take outside
They call it like
the regular
education
game.
mode or something like that, or classroom mode or something like that.
I don't know what they called it, but man, I loved it. And they would do basically a lecture at all these different stations, and finding out that Egypt was the first civilization to brew beer. I didn't know that. So there was a lot of cool stuff in there. But yeah, man, I'm hoping for the best for this, and I'm trying to stay optimistic. Yeah, I have the same concerns that both of you two do. But still, again, I want to be optimistic about this.
I remain skeptical and
Cautious.
afraid. Yes, I'm not even cautious. I'm concerned. I am concerned.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have some other story. Do you have any? Do you have a gaming story that you would like to bring to the front of the queue, Jay?
I had one. We recently got and bear with me, pardon the pun, but I've basically converted back to PC gaming, but I also play on PlayStation. And you know, we have our monthly games, and one of the games that we got free monthly this month was Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. Not reimagined, remastered. And I downloaded it. I haven't got a chance to play it because I've been playing Star Wars Genesis so much lately, and then Crimson Desert.
Take a shot.
Well, but that was it. Oh, you're making it a drinking game every time I bring it.
Yeah, every time you mention Star Wars Genesis, man.
Yeah, you're gonna get used to this for sure. Anyway, so I gotta say, and it brings up a thing where I think gaming ties into life. When Tomb Raider 2 launched, I had one brother, and I'm the oldest of 4 sons. I had one brother that was kind of doing his own thing and not always the best things, and he was the one right under me, and then the one right under him, we were the closest, and we were both gamers. And Tomb Raider 2, I was in college already, but I came home one weekend when Tomb Raider 2 came out because I knew how much John liked Tomb Raider 1. And I had 2 cases of Mountain Dew and 4 boxes of Cheez-Its because that was our favorite snack and gamer food. And we sat in a room, basically shut in. I think I ordered Monty's Pizza a couple times for actual meat food with protein in it. But and we traded back and forth with that controller for an entire weekend, from Friday evening till Sunday afternoon, until we beat that thing. And so I'm looking forward to actually getting on there and trying that game again and see if it's what I remember. But for all the people that played, sorry, it didn't work out. My screenshot didn't work out. You did it to me again, Mason.
Oh, yeah, that's my next story.
So
I didn't do it to you. You didn't tell me what you were doing.
And whether you two even understand this screenshot right here, but anybody that played Tomb Raider 2,
I think everybody understands this screenshot, Jay. I don't think any red-blooded American male has any problem recognizing
I'm not even talking about Lara Croft, though. You're talking about Lara Croft. But you show them this screenshot. Anybody that played this game, they know as soon as you show it, they're going to get the shakes and the whatnot, because this was so frustrating. And back in an era when games were hard because of math problems and math constraints with coding in games, and less about, hey, I didn't block or parry this guy correctly and now I'm dead. So it just got me thinking, what do you guys think about this age of games? And this is not meant to be a huge topic, but this age of games where we've either got games that everybody either labels as Souls-likes because they're super difficult and have a ridiculous combat mechanic, or easy. It felt like in this era, any action adventure game was just effing hard. Just hard to play.
Well, but how about you, Bear? Were you a gamer at this era? I know that you'd mentioned that you're a millennial, so.
Yeah, still in my 20s. I don't recall any game from that era, but I do know games used to be a lot harder. I feel like today they changed it to that, like we were talking about earlier with Assassin's Creed and the leveling up system. I feel like there's a slow, much easier progression where you level up, and once you've leveled up, there's kind of no stopping you in a way. Like
Yeah, there's like
games,
the
I feel
power
like
fantasy.
yeah, I feel like a lot of games used to be a lot more strategy based, timing, like you said, Jay, math.
Yeah.
It's not really that found unless you're doing. There's a lot of horror games where there's a lot of puzzles involved, and Jedi Survivor comes to mind. There's a lot of little puzzles involved.
That's a fantastic example. Yeah.
We'll be talking more about Jedi Survivor later.
Okay, but yeah, like even in Jedi Survivor, I mean, the puzzles were. I think they were a good balance, so you don't have to be sitting in your gaming chair for hours and hours getting angry. But yeah, I think back in the day, it was a lot more difficult, and there was kind of no way around it, but figuring it out. And today, I think that changed a lot.
Yeah, and I think this was also an era, and we still get games like this. In fact, we actually have one that we can talk about, but where there were some games where, there wasn't really this okay game back in those eras. Like it was either it either sucked or
Oh,
it
yeah.
got it. Like they got it. And this was one that got it. Tomb Raider got it. This was one that you felt you played it, you felt it, you got it, and you were hooked on it. And the same thing for like Need for Speed and those kinds of things. It was just like there was a way fewer, if any at all, of these games that were just kind of middle of the road, and you're like, it's okay. It's kind of
There
crazy.
almost was no middle of the road.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you nailed it when you said it.
which is crazy, given that like today, all our attention everything's calling for our attention. There is this overwhelming amount of choice that we have in games, and we didn't have that kind of choice back then. There were very few select games, but even then, it was still just like, well, we we actually had the selection was just a different kind of animal back then.
It's funny. Last night we were watching Shadow Lord, Mall Shadow Lord, and it kept running ads for Soros, this other game that is coming out this week. And I was like, man, this game is so screwed because of Crimson Desert.
Wait, is that the roguelike?
Yeah, it's the roguelite. And I'm like,
it's coming out this week?
Screwed. Yeah, apparently. So, which again, we brought it up when we talked about the Game Awards, but
yeah, I thought it's further out.
It's a game it's going to get killed because of Crimson Desert. I mean, it absolutely is going to just get.
That was actually going to be my example
nothing.
of a game that we play that just gets it. Crimson Desert right now. This is a game that you play it, man. It just like the game just gets it, and you just become hooked to it.
Yeah, and it's a game that, and I was talking to another friend of ours that it's a different game to every single person that plays it. And that's fine. That's great. Because I think that's what Pearl Abyss succeeded at. And Eidos, who made Tomb Raider 2, I think that's what they succeeded at back in those days, and why we didn't have middle of the road games. And the thing is, if we didn't have these games, we wouldn't have the games we had now. And and everything's a building process, and I get that, and it's not a big revelation on this show, but it was games like this that kept me gaming, man. I mean, that's what kept me in it.
Well, one of the things that we talked about just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, where we were talking about a game can be, because we were talking about the controversy surrounding Crimson Desert and the scoring of it. One, we talked about how nobody even really cares about the outlets anymore. Whether it's movies, nobody cares about the critics. When it's games, nobody cares about IGN or these outlets. Everybody cares about the content creators that they follow, the people that they know are like-minded, and what do they think. And that's how they determine it. So the scores are so like meaningless nowadays compared to what they used to be. And we had talked about how there are so many games that have lower scores that we absolutely love and recommend. For example, Mad Max being one of those.
I was just going to say Mad Max.
That game. Like that one.
Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah. They got railed, and they're absolutely incredible. I love them. And that was one of the things that, in fact, the thing that we brought up a little bit earlier, it was referencing this. So Crimson Desert, and Jay has been hyping this even before Crimson Desert released. Jay was saying that it would be Game of the Year. Whenever, come Game Awards time, that it will be Game of the Year.
And
I
now
don't know about that.
I'm right.
But if it is nominated, even nominated, it doesn't even have to win. If it's even nominated for Game of the Year, it will be the lowest Metacritic score of any nominee ever.
Oh wow,
And
that's a good stat.
And it's a great game. But its Metacritic score is 77 right now because IGN and all these others, I guess they just didn't get it. I don't know if they had the Madden guy playing the game. I don't know why, but that score is crazy low. And if we look back at going back to 2014, I have a list of the lowest scored games in the Game of the Year category for each of those years. We had in 2014 Middle
Go slow.
Earth. Huh?
Go slow in case we need to make comments on this.
Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. Would you even like to take a guess at what that score would be?
Okay, first off, I love that game. And second, I'm going to guess its Metacritic score was in the 70s.
So, and let's not forget also the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system.
Which is your thing, but yeah.
I think you might be one of the few people that are not as livid about the Nemesis system as I am. But it was. How about you? Would you like to take a guess, Bear? Have you played this one?
I have not. No, I have not.
All right. So its Metacritic score was actually an 84. In 2015, the lowest Metacritic score of any of the nominees was Fallout 4 for Game of the Year.
I would have never guessed that.
Surprising.
So, well, I mean, just because it is the lowest score doesn't mean it's a low score. It's just the lowest of the scores of the Game of the Year nominees.
Listen, I get it. I'm a Bethesda hoe bag for sure. I'm an Ubisoft hoe bag too. But Fallout 4 was bugs and all. It was stellar. And you're saying it was what was it? 84?
No, it was Fallout 4. Fallout 4.
Sorry,
we haven't said this. I haven't said the score. Do you have a guess at what the score is?
I'm gonna go 78.
Bear?
Yeah, I'll be close to Jay with like an 82, maybe.
It was an 87. 87.
Okay, that was higher than I thought.
Better,
it would be.
better than I was expecting. Yeah.
2016 was the lowest of the Game of the Year nominees. Lowest Metacritic score of the Game of the Year nominees. And again, keep in mind, Metacritic is based off of actual critics from publications, not content creators or anybody like that we actually look to for this. Titanfall 2, 2016, lowest score of the nominees. What was it?
Okay, so real quick, I know I love mechs. I never played Titanfall 2. However, I do know
with you right now, Jay.
I know you are.
I appreciate everybody for joining us for the final episode of the Hardcore Casual broadcast.
And you know how much I love Gundam and Voltron and Robotech, and I get that. And Mech Warrior. I do know this about Titanfall 2. I know that people that played that game said it was the best single player story they had ever played in their life. And that's a pretty freaking stiff statement to make.
Especially for a first-person shooter.
Especially for a first-person shooter. So I do know that it is universally loved by its community. I'm going to guess its Metacritic score at an 82.
You got any guesses, Bear?
Yeah. So for me, for whatever reason, I'm not a big. And absolutely no disrespect. I hope no one rips my head off here. I've never been a big fan of the.
This isn't our comment section. You can speak your mind.
Okay.
And no one's going to rip your head off.
Hopefully not. We'll see in the comments later. But the whole mech or like big robots I've never been really into that. I like to be more. It takes my immersion away. I don't know why. I always figure like if there's a giant robot, I'll probably just run away, kind of deal. But
then you get to be in your own giant robot.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
So,
I'd give it a higher. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead. If you got a guess, absolutely throw it out.
Like a little higher 80s, maybe around 88 mark, just because
Okay,
It's a
this
neat-
so far this is the closest anybody has come to getting it. So Titanfall 2 is actually scored at an 89 for the year of 2016. 2017, the fact that this was the game of the year, what a simpler time it was. Lowest lowest Metacritic score for game of the year nominee in 2017 was PUBG.
I hate PUBG.
I also hate PUBG.
Okay, we'll just skip to it. That was an 86 somehow.
Yeah,
That is shocking.
that's fine. Great.
2018 lowest scored Metacritic or lowest Metacritic score of games nominated in 2018 was Marvel's Spider-Man. This was the Sony exclusive Spider-Man game release from Insomniac
And
Games.
that was the lowest?
Again, I want to stress to anybody playing along at home, this is the lowest among the nominees of the game of the year.
What were the other nominees?
Lowest among the best does not mean it is a low score.
And I get that, but what were the other nominees if that was because the year Spider-Man came out, that shit rocked the charts, dude. That was a great game.
I do not know. While I'm looking up that for you, do you have a guess as to what that score could have been?
Go ahead,
Man,
Jay. I love that game. I got to throw that out. I
Oh, yeah?
love
Yeah.
that game.
Okay,
Oh,
well
yeah.
then after Jay's guess, then we'll definitely have
I'll
something.
say 87, 88.
All right, what you got, Bear? And what do you want to say about it?
I'm just trying to think back at the gameplay. I would have expected maybe lower 80s, possibly.
But you said that you loved the game, so what were your thoughts on it?
I loved the game, but if you don't like Spider-Man, you don't like the game, and it might be
That's a good
niche
point.
that they were thinking.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah, I love Spider-Man too. Yeah, as you can tell, I got a bunch of Spider-Man.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna read the nominees. So Jay asked, so I'm gonna read you the nominees for the 2018 Game of the Year. And by the time I reach the end of the nominees list, you will understand why it did not win. 2018, what a time it was. God of War. This was the rebooted God of War series.
Which I didn't play.
Then we had, of course, Marvel Spider-Man.
Okay.
Celeste, which was it was an indie hit. You always got to have an indie hit in there, right?
Oh yeah, you got to have one or a Nintendo hit.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Monster Hunter World.
Oh shit!
Which was obviously a massive hit. That was the one that really made it mainstream. Before then, it was a cult. It was an incredibly popular cult hit, but it was not a mainstream hit. Monster Hunter World made it a mainstream thing. But there's one more nominee. The one more nominee, Red Dead Redemption 2. So to be the lowest Metacritic score amongst that group, not a bad gig.
Yeah, with the exception of Celeste, yes, I get it. So,
and it was an 87.
I was gonna say the same thing, Jay. Yeah,
it was an 87.
Sweet. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Do we want to continue going through this, or?
Sure, man. This is fun. Go do it.
So this one, I don't know if either of you have played this. 2019 lowest Metacritic score amongst the nominees for Game of the Year was The Outer Worlds.
I played Outer Worlds.
I've not played, no.
I played it based on street credit from it's the developers that did Fallout New Vegas. And that's the only reason I played it. And I liked it. I felt like it was almost a blend between Fallout and Borderlands in a way. And very Bethesda-like. But I still think it would be a niche following, and I'm going to guess its Metacritic score at an 86.
Okay. And Bear, given Jay's track record, would you like to, even though you haven't played the game, just given Jay's accuracy rate, would you like to base a guess just on that?
Yeah, I think I watched, actually. I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTuber, the Rad Brad. He does a lot of games.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I've watched that game through him. I wasn't a fan based on what I was seeing, but with that said, I'd probably give it low 80s, like 82 maybe.
It's actually an 85.
85?
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Right in the middle.
This one shocked me. In fact, I'll say it. and then I'm going to look up the rest of the nominees because it's nuts that this was the lowest scored nominee in 2019. Sorry, 2020. The lowest scored nominee in 2020 of the Game of the Year contenders
Oh, I'm
was
about to get
Ghost
pissed. I
of
can feel it.
Tsushima.
Mother F.
Ghost
Dude,
of Tsushima was
seriously?
the lowest scored amongst the games, the nominees
Seriously?
for Game of the Year on 2020. So, yeah, Jay, what would you guess for that?
I hope it's an 89.
Bear?
I'd hope it's in the 90s. I absolutely love that game. I'm a
As
fan
do
of
I.
ninjas though, so
It was amazing. It was amazing, and it was
It was one of the most revolution. Go ahead. Sorry.
83.
Holy shit! What were the other nominees, man?
This one. Okay, you know the first one where I was like, I'm going to read these nominees out, and you're going to understand. I'm going to read these nominees out,
And
it's
I'm not going to.
It's not going to take the sting away. It's still going to hurt. All right.
Well, I
Hades.
remember everybody saying they got screwed. I remember that Game Awards year.
Hades. So, which was, I mean, it was well done for what it was.
Roguelike.
It was well done for what it was, but it was just not my thing. Doom Eternal.
Oh my God, man! Come on.
Here's one on here just for you, Jay. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Your
Mother-
Nintendo entry.
Oh,
And then we got two
Bear.
more.
Just in case you don't know, I hate Nintendo IPs. I don't mind them carrying third-party IPs, but I hate Nintendo IPs. Sorry, Mason. Go ahead.
No. You're good.
I
go
kind
ahead.
of figured based on the reaction.
Yeah. Your reaction was subtle, Jay, but he was able to pick up on it. So
Angry Birds.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. So the first game of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was a great game.
That
Legitimately
is
a great
good game. That is a
And
good
then-
game. Yeah.
And then the last one that makes this sting even more was The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh my
Which-
God.
I hate that
was
game.
Shit.
Hate that game.
Not a fan. No.
All right. 2021. The lowest scored nominee amongst all of the nominees for Game of the Year was Resident Evil Village.
Okay, didn't play it. We had this
Fair.
discussion before. I stopped at Resident Evil 4 because it went completely wheels off the truck after 4 for me. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm with Jay on that. I haven't been a big Resident Evil fan in quite a while.
Yeah, same. I don't even know where I left off. It's been so long. Like I think the last one I played was it Resident Evil 4? The first time they did the over the shoulder thing. I think that was Resident Evil 4 that they did that. That was the last Resident Evil I played. So Resident Evil Village lowest scored was 84. All right, 4 more. 2022 lowest scored amongst the nominees was A Plague Tale Requiem.
okay, so weird story. The Plague Tale games are good. They're short. I mean, you're
Yes.
looking at 3, 4, and I've only played one of them, and it was the first one. Which
Yeah, they're
is that
basically
one.
intended to be like a entries in a series of like stories. Like
Yeah.
whenever you watch the like an anthology series or something like that on Netflix.
Yeah, and there's a
where each
couple of
episode's
different,
different.
There's a couple of different anthologies that were on PlayStation and Xbox Series X. The Man from Medan and those, and then the Plague series. And dude, that one was pretty good. It was one of those pull at your heartstrings type of stories. And so it's kind of tough to. It's really not a game though.
No, but it's still an
And we
experience.
should
I
probably,
would say
probably have a whole discussion on games that aren't actually games, but this is one of them.
so. We had talked about it before. There's someone I know that I've like talking with them about the whole Quantic Dream games, and I know that some people hate those
Oh,
games. I love
I
those
love
games
Quantic
from
Dreams.
Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
Which there's a whole thing about that too with Eclipse and all that insanity. But anyways, whenever it comes to Quantic Dream, I would still consider them games. So I still consider Requiem a game, even though some people it might not appeal to them. I would still consider it a game. Did you guess at the score?
I'm going to say 84, 83, 84.
Bear?
I'll default to Jay on that one. I'm in the same area. Yeah.
It's 82. 2023,
Close
we're
enough.
almost there. We're almost home. Alan
Elden
Wake
Ring.
2 was the lowest scored lowest scored game amongst the nominees, and it is tied. Sorry, not tied. Okay, it is tied for no, it is tied, but not for the first. It is tied for the second place as far as the amongst this from 2014 to 2025, and we're talking about the lowest scored amongst the nominees. This one is tied for the 2023. The lowest scored here is tied for the second place amongst the highest of the lowest scores.
All right, so I'm going to go 89 for my score, but I want to say this. I played Alan Wake 1 in it to completion. Loved it. You're the one that told me to play Alan Wake 2. It's still on my backlog. I'm not there yet. And it's one of those games where it's a lot like a TV show or a movie that requires you to sit and think.
Yeah.
You have to be in that.
Definitely have to think.
You have to be in that kind of zen mood.
I mean, it's very Remedy.
Watch.
It is absolutely every bit a Remedy game.
And I have a lot of TV shows and movies that are like that, where like Blade Runner, you have to be in the mood to watch Blade Runner. And if you're not, it'll come across completely different, even if you've seen it 500 times. So Alan Wake to me is a lot like that, and I love the first one. And you're the one that told me that the second one is superlative. So I'm gonna say 88.
All right. You want to take a guess, Bear?
Yeah, I love Elden Ring.
This is for Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2. Jay said
you
Elden
didn't
Ring.
say Elden Ring?
Jay said Elden
I
Ring.
said
as a
Elden
joke.
Ring because I think this was Elden Ring's year, wasn't it? 2023.
You'll have to ask a different dude, man. I'm not the dates guy.
All right, then I'll default to Jay because I had the wrong mindset on that one. I was totally off.
So Jay actually got it right. It is 88. All right, we got 2024. Lowest amongst the nominees was Black Myth Wukong. And I will tell you that this one, up before Crimson Desert, this was the lowest score from the entire list.
Yeah, and I think that's the fault of the developer. They did not hype this game as much. They had like a trailer, and then 3 years later they had a trailer, and then 3 years later it came out. I will tell you right now, if my youngest son was on this show and not me, he could tell you Black Myth Wukong is one of his favorite games. In fact, I bought him the damn LARP staff from the game for Christmas. And so I'm going to go with 89 because you watch it, and I've only played
you did hear me
opening.
say that this is the absolute lowest on the list prior to Crimson Desert, right?
Then I will amend my score to 81. Because they didn't run a hype train on it, and I think that's what hurt them.
I don't, because this is critics' score. If we were looking at sales, I could definitely say that they bear some responsibility for sales numbers and maybe not hyping it properly. But this is critics' scores. I think what this points to is just further testament that this is why nobody cares about critics anymore. This is why nobody cares about IGN's
That's a good
opinion.
point.
You know, like this is why. This is why. Did you have any opinions on that, Bear? Ever play it?
Yeah, actually, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't think it's right behind me, but it's in this room hanging somewhere. I do have, like, they used to sell this cool little statue of it, and I do have that. If
That's
they gave it a
awesome.
low score, I think whoever was reviewing it is maybe not nerdy enough, and I don't know.
We think the same
There
thing
you
about
go.
Crimson Desert.
That's
say
going to be
they
my new
messed up the
go-to,
score.
by the way. Now, the way for bad reviews that should be good is when the person's not nerdy enough.
Yeah, I always gauge
I'm
their
stealing
review by
that.
how nerdy they are. Because I would have gave
Yeah.
that game a very high score, based on them being totally wrong. If I do say so myself, they probably put it at like an 80. Yeah.
All right, so Jay actually nailed this dead on. It is an 81. And then the last one that we have, most recent.
Real quick, did you play Black Myth Wukong?
I have not gotten a chance to play Black Myth Wukong.
Okay, so the opening scene I'm just going to say this. The opening scene will blow your fucking mind. It is so epic. I didn't play past it, which is funny. But Alex played the shit out of that game. But that opening scene, you're just sitting there going, I mean, it's that good. So anyway, but yeah, go ahead.
2025, lowest amongst the nominees, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
$84.
Bear, any experience with Kingdom Come Deliverance?
I don't even think I've heard of that game.
Well, it scored an 88. So not only will this be the lowest scored, if it is in fact nominated for Game of the Year, not only would it be the lowest scored before, it would actually be the very first time any of them were in the 70s. So, I believe, again, I think this is just further testament to why nobody trusts games media.
Yeah, you're right.
You're recall
right.
the game now.
You do?
Yes, I got the laptop going here. I just Googled it real quick. I think that's another the Rad Brad that I used to watch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It looked cool to me. I never got around to playing it, but I like the concept and I like the gameplay to an extent. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Well, I mean, it's well regarded. Everybody loves it. And again, these are Game of the Year nominees, so like they obviously had a lot of support. It's one of those things. This is why nobody trusts games media anymore. It's just a joke.
Yeah, but it also shows what kind of influence they have negatively towards the, because if you get your basic, your top crust of gamers that are just looking for that superficial, real quick, hey, is this game any good? IGN's going to be the first thing that pops up, not Asmongold and not Rad Brad and not Renfail and not Bear Adventures or, GMJ. We're not going to pop up. It's going to be IGN, and a lot of people are going to take that review, and that's going to be the decision.
What's funny is that there's been like a complete flip in the mentality. Not only was it, before they completely lost all credibility, before games media lost all credibility, the thing that you would do is you would be like, okay, the game released, the embargo's up, or, it's about to release and the embargo's up. You would Google it, you'd find the IGN page where they have the review, you click on the review, and you'd scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'd look at the number. You wouldn't even care about any context that they added or whatever. You'd scroll down, look at the number, and go. And then now there's been a flip where, again, nobody trusts games media. Nobody cares what IGN has to say, or at least no gamers care what IGN has to say. And what we do is we go and we'll watch content creators that we trust. And most of these content creators don't give a score. They don't say this was a 7, this was an 8.
They don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're
we don't
showing
want the
us
score. And we care. That's what we care about, the context. It's been a complete flip. Whenever it was IGN, all we cared about was the number. We didn't care about their actual review. Now we just want to know, hey, tell us all the details, and we don't need a score. We will know based off of your context and your feedback.
Yeah, if you're showing us you playing the game, I don't need a score. And, Bear was talking about it a couple nights ago with Arc Raiders where he had a particularly not great night. I want to see that. I want to know what that looks like so I know what I'm getting. That's going to form my opinion more than this guy just ran through. He killed everybody, took all their shit, and went home. And I'm, I want to know I want to see what a bad night looks like before I decide if I'm going to pick something up.
I think if you watched my gameplay on that night, you wouldn't pick that game up. You would have thought it's the hardest game ever made.
I already think it's up there because I already told you why I haven't picked it up yet. It's because they haven't divided PvP from PvE.
Yeah, it's completely merged. That's one thing. That's whenever the difficulty of the game is entirely dictated on who you happen to be matched with. Yeah, that's a difficult thing to balance, and that's why I just don't do it. I just don't bother with it. Like I said, the Division and the Division 2, I love those. I'm excited for the Division 3. I like the way that they separated it out. Like if you're like, hey, I'm down to go against some players.
Feeling squirrely. Let's go fight some people.
Go Dark Zone. And there's a whole thing where if somebody does just fly off the handle and they attack, everybody turns against them. They basically have a bounty on their head. They get shown on the map and everybody gets to go attack them. So it's risky. So even if you want to be a dick, it's a risk. So I like that approach. But the whole thing that Arc Raiders has going on, and I think, and Bear, you let us know. My assumption is it's probably only going to become a bigger deal the more we have that separation between like, hey, adults with jobs and the people that don't have to worry about it. And the longer it goes, the wider that gap's going to be, and they're going to have to address it.
Yep. They were also talking about like competitive gaming in Arc Raiders and how it's just not a possibility right now. Yeah, there's some aspects I'd love to see them add in there, and if they don't, I just don't think I can. I don't think I can join the lobby. I have no business in there. So
Well,
And
that
that's
was
the way
the
it
other
goes
big
with a lot
thing
of this.
that I had. A couple of other quick hits because I know that we've been going for an hour, and so we can go ahead and hit some of the other things that we had on like TV and film and stuff like that in the Star Wars bit. But a few other things was just to reassure some people, the Pokemon patent that had been a huge uproar about, and rightfully so, where they were actually able to patent the the concept of summoning a creature and having it fight on your behalf. They had managed to get a patent on that, and this was in spite of other games like Persona and a whole list of other games where they had used this same concept. That was actually overturned now because of previously established games like those that use that same mechanic. So thankfully, they now they can appeal, and I'm sure they will because they're litigious. But they can appeal, and I suspect that would not change anything. But that's the good news: is that that patent is no more. It is not filed away like the Nemesis system, and it's that whole controversy is probably well on its way to being put to bed.
Well,
that's good news.
I'm sure that's good
Yes.
for all the Pokemon or all the people playing like Pal World. And you mentioned, I didn't even know Persona was like that. I've never played a Persona game.
I would highly recommend it.
I did try out Pal World at one point because my son asked me to, and I was like, no. This is not, son. I love you. I mean, I do with all my heart, but no. Not my kind of game.
We also had a recent big release for Warframe, and I just recently got it back into Warframe and was playing with my brother a little bit earlier this week.
Well, yeah,
so.
you brought it up with him the other night.
Yeah.
with Bear.
Bear and Jay and I talked about Warframe, and you'll have to check it out, Bear. Let me know what you think. So that's a big thing. But the other piece of news that I got that dropped, and this is probably niche, won't be a big deal for a lot of people, but that is that the next game in the Metro series is Metro 2039, and it was announced today. It was presented with a 6-minute trailer, which was basically 5 minutes of a cinematic trailer and then 1 minute of captured in-game footage. It looked incredible. The games always do. The any generation that they release in, the Metro games always look absolutely insane.
They're all, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're always first person shooter, correct? They're not
Yes.
third person over the shoulder. Okay.
Yeah, they're first person military, but it's the world has
Russian.
gone weird. Russian is very Russian, and yeah, we
Russian.
get mutated creatures and that kind of stuff
Very
going on.
Russian.
And the new one, the 2039, it looked like a Kojima trailer. It was unsettling. I'm not gonna play it because one, it is 6 minutes, and two, it is heavy. It is heavy.
I'm gonna watch it now since you.
Yeah,
said that.
I recommend watching it. It is heavy. It is heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were the things that I had regarding games. Any closing thoughts? Any gaming topics before we move on?
I don't have any other gaming topics, man. I think we nailed it.
Bear, got anything before we move on to other things?
No, not that I can think of. I just really hope that Black Flag doesn't do what we all
Suck.
fear. It's going to be in the back of my head until they release that game, honestly.
Yeah, and hopefully supposedly we can get some more information next week. So yeah, fingers crossed until we get to see what these other people saw, and then maybe we can at least get. Obviously, we won't know everything, but hopefully we can at least get some confirmation one way or the other on things like the level system, those RPG like elements. We'll see.
And Russ, I know you were hoping to get out of one whole episode without it, but I just want to tell all the folks that are
tell us about Genesis, Jay.
So
Jay,
I
do
do
you
want to
mind-
tell all the folks that are playing Star Wars Genesis. I know your Starfield might have auto updated, and that's on you because you didn't turn off auto updates. But I've been to GenesisModList.com, and he has assured us that he is just waiting to get all the updates in on the mods that he needs for the mod list, and that everything is fine. If you did not update your game, you're fine. I've been playing Genesis all week, and it has worked flawlessly, and you're still good to go. And that's all I wanted to say. We can move on.
Okay, I'll not give anybody any more chances before we move on. So we're just going to move on
Wow.
to the entertainment segment. So, Jay, what entertainment stories do you have?
So I have caught up on Mall Shadow Lord. I am 4 episodes in. They were like 24 minutes apiece or something like that. And some crazy takeaways I have. First off, just on spec, it is some of the best animation I've ever seen. It is sharp. It is the depth that they're able to show in those episodes has been amazing. Sam Witwer as Darth Maul, and I know he's been Darth Maul forever in the animated series. And I know he's been the Emperor and Vader and any number of countless amount of people. In this show, dude, he has reached a whole new level of performance, and it is well worth your time to catch up on these 4 episodes.
I will.
The funny thing is they have not really like pigeonholed what timeline they're in. You have to kind of play the Empire is in charge. We're years removed from the Clone Wars, but before the first Death Star has been taken down. So
now, do you think they're trying to do this as a bit of a
I think
kind
it's
of
a
like as a
plot device.
reveal for the actual timeline, or
Yes.
are they just doing it? Oh, so you do think that they are actually planning a reveal with it?
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get a Darth Sidious Maul face to face, possibly, and I think they're kind of setting us up for that. And I could be dead wrong. Bear, I don't know what your feelings are after having watched whatever episodes you've watched, but that's where I'm at with it right now. But it's definitely him, and dude, he's playing the long con. He's taking his time. He's being patient. He's not mentioning the Sith, which is weird because he was considered at that point a Sith acolyte. So he's obviously dark side though, all the way. But
I know that one of the most recent videos on Bear's channel was regarding his thoughts on Maul. So if you don't mind us leeching off your content and you sharing some of your thoughts here as well, feel free.
Yeah, please go for it, man. I'll let you have it.
Yeah, on my last stream, I went over, funny enough, reviewers' feedback on the show, and he made some really good points. So one of the points he made was, like you said, the animation. It's almost got its own feel. I don't think if I recall right, I don't think I've seen something made like it. And he
Yeah, me
mentioned it's
neither.
almost like moving watercolor paintings.
Wow, that's a really good descriptor.
Yeah, and I went back and, after reading what he wrote, I wasn't like happy with the guy. But that was a really good point. If you go back on
You're like, son of a
YouTube
bitch,
and
though. He did nail that bit.
he did nail it. Absolutely. I went back on YouTube and rewatched a bunch of different clips. And if you pause it, man, yeah, it's almost like a watercolor painting. It's really interesting, new, and I love the style. Devin is an interesting character. I'm excited to
Yes.
see where she goes. And yeah, I like that Maul is really coming to his own. He's almost kind of learning how to be more like Sidious with the mental aspect of everything.
Yes.
And that I like. I like that he's becoming his own kind of, when you look at it, like a super villain instead of just more of a background.
So so in this one, again, I haven't seen it, but he's more of the he's also a thinking villain, not just like a battle badass. He's actually very cerebral in his approach.
Well, you had
and
Sidious master and apprentice, and now it feels like Maul's he doesn't have an apprentice, but he's the master. It's obvious to me. Sorry, go ahead, Bear.
No, yeah. He would you consider his brother his apprentice for that short period of time before he died?
Yeah, probably. For sure.
You think so? Yeah, because he did call him the apprentice, but it's also your brother. It's kind of like, is that, let me bring my
kind
brother
of a
along.
flex more than anything. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I do like the way it's going. I believe, unless I'm crazy, I think one of the animated shows, I can't recall which one, had Maul and Sidious face off. I might.
That would have had to have been Rebels.
I think it was Rebels, but I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong and say that. But
I
if
hear
they
you.
are going to have Maul and Sidious face off, I think it'd be, as always, it'd be awesome to watch. And yeah, man, without saying too many spoilers, I'm really digging the show. I like where Maul's kind of becoming his own, and I like the direction they're going. And hey, Devin, I'm interested in Devin too. I hope she becomes his apprentice, and yeah, I hope they take that where I think everyone can kind of see it going. But yeah, I really like the show so far.
And I got to tell you, I love the police chief. But he drinks more coffee than any human being should, especially in a Star Wars show. Like every time you see him, he's got the coffee mug every time. So I thought that was funny, and I'm sure that's a nod to old school police procedurals. I'm sure that's what they're doing, but it's still pretty cool. But anyway, yes.
I need a lot of coffee to do accounting. So if I was gonna go fight Darth Maul, I think I'd have coffee 24/7. Yeah,
For sure.
Well, I don't have the only other thing I would just be getting in the way. I'll just say like we got a confirmation that Top Gun 3 is happening.
Oh.
So there we go. Before we move into deeper Star Wars stuff, that was the only other thing I had was that Top Gun.
Well,
Maverick
man,
is,
listen,
sorry,
I
Top
gotta
Gun
tell
3
you.
is confirmed.
For all those people that wore stripes and bars for a living, Top Gun. So the original Top Gun is without a doubt one of the catalysts for the reason I decided to put a uniform on. Plus, I grew up in an age with some of the best war movies of all time. It probably drove all of us to join. But, and then the second one came out and it pulled at your heartstrings. I really loved the back and forth between Goose's son Rooster and Maverick. I thought that was insane. It tore me apart to watch the Maverick Iceman scene, especially considering that we lost Val Kilmer shortly after in real life. You're gonna have to give me a second because that was tough to watch. But and I love John Hamm's character playing the foil in the movie, and it was perfect. He did a great job, and the other guy, and I don't know his name in real life, the dude that played John Hamm's second, that actually was pro Maverick. But obviously, man, I'm looking forward to whatever they decide to do in this movie. I really want to see Tom Cruise play a more realistic role where he's in command instead of I don't need him to be in the cockpit anymore. He's reached an age, and anybody that's wore camouflage for a living can tell you, you don't need to be you don't need to be in the cockpit at 60 plus years old. He has a commanding presence. He has earned it through Mission Impossible and through The Last Samurai and the Top Gun movies and Collateral and all these movies he's done. I can have Miles Teller and Monica Barbaro and Glenn Powell in the cockpit. I do not need Tom Cruise in the cockpit.
That is
Just
the one
my
bummer.
opinion.
That is the one bummer is that right now the only confirmed returning cast member is Tom Cruise. We don't know if Miles Teller or Glenn Powell or anybody else is going to be coming back. I hope they would.
Glenn Powell would come back.
But, I mean, well, Glenn's pretty busy. I mean, I know he'd probably love to come back.
Yeah,
but
he'll come back. It's Top Gun. He'll be back.
I hope they do, man. I hope they do. But, yeah, bringing it back especially without Miles Teller. I think you absolutely need Miles Teller. And I think that you really do need Glenn Powell, especially given that there's no Iceman anymore. You can't have Val Kilmer even to the reduced role that he was in then, unless you do AI, which I don't want them to do. I don't want them to bring him back that way. So Val Kilmer is unfortunately not going to be able to be in it because he's no longer with us. So you need that character, and he's already done his little sort of like redemption arc. We just got to have the cocky because he knows how good he is character, and that's Glenn Powell. He's got to.
Glenn Powell is the Iceman.
Yeah,
I mean he's the Iceman
Hangman
for that. And Monica Barbaro is like that perfect middle ground between Rooster and Hangman, and
Phoenix.
So I think those three together would be great. Bear, I don't know what your thoughts are, especially since you actually are Navy. So yeah, whatever your thoughts are, man.
I actually gotta. I'll make it quick. I don't want to drag it on, of course,
No,
but
dude, drag it on. That whatever you. This is hardcore casual. You go as long as you want to go.
so I was actually when that movie first came out, the second one. I was deployed in Bahrain. It was a base right next to Bahrain. It was an
Nice.
army base. For those of those
Yes.
who knew, it's Pac 5 is what it's called. So that's the only movie we made this makeshift theater. We were living in shoes, container housing units, in tents. And we made a makeshift theater, and that's the one movie that we got. And we watched that movie every single night before going out. And when I tell you that people got jacked up when they landed that missile and we were about to go out and go walk around and do patrols and stuff, when
Yeah.
they landed that missile, man, you could hear that tent from miles away.
Yeah.
That movie holds a special place in my heart because of that. It's a memory I'll always love, and I'm excited for the third one. Bad or good, I'm gonna love it. I'll tell you that.
Well, and that's
That's
one thing
awesome,
where it's
man.
like the second one was one of those movies. Oddly enough, another movie that was like that is one that I'm sure will come up, which was the episode 7. It was actually I loved episode 7. 8 and 9 I didn't like for Star Wars, but I loved episode 7.
I love episode 7.
But that was one that was like. But for Top Gun Maverick, I saw that multiple times in the theaters, and it never gets old. So I can imagine it having just to have that quality already, and then to have it attached to those kinds of memories. Like, yeah, that one's never you're never gonna get tired of it. Anytime it's on TV, that's one where it's like, oh, stop channel surfing right here. We're gonna leave it right here.
Yeah. Man, there's times when I just like I've had a bad day. I'll come home and fix a freaking ham and cheese sandwich and I'll throw on Top Gun or Top Gun Maverick. And again, not Navy, but it's that feeling that you get when you watch those. It comes from your feet. Anytime you get those types of feelings that come from your feet all the way through your body, that's one of them. For me, Black Hawk Down was a big one. Especially I was in the service during that era. But yeah, man, I love I'm glad they're doing Top Gun 3. I hope it's like Fast and Furious where we get Top Gun 10 well after Tom Cruise is out of it. I don't need Maverick to be in it. He'll always be the legend.
Well, since Tom Cruise is probably going to outlive us all, I don't know.
No
He's probably
shit.
going to be in every single one of them.
Reminds me of Ricky Bobby. It's like, hey man, with today's modern medical advances, there's no reason I couldn't live to be, 250.
But so I'm excited. We'll see what they do. I'm. It was obviously everyone expected them to make a third one after the just remarkable success of the second one. So I'm stoked. But that's all I've got. How do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are you ready to move into our topic is TV movie related? So I asked these guys to put together a list of their top 3 Star Wars characters that deserve a live action treatment. We have to discount amongst us. We're discounting Starkiller because we feel like it would be on all 3 of our lists. So that's our free spot on the bingo card. But I do have this poll tonight that I want to share with everybody. So can we move that to the top right? Will that move?
Nope.
Well, that's our poll for tonight. So just put it in the chat if you're watching. But which Star Wars character deserves the live action treatment? I've only given you 4 choices, but we're going to have a bunch of them. So, I will kick it off, and I'm going to go with my top choice first, just to give everybody an idea. And Mason, this partly is your fault.
I'll take it.
But my top choice is Darth Bane. He's never been explored in the movies. He's been hinted at. He's also, the books were written by an author that you actually already like because he wrote the Mass Effect books, which is Drew Karpyshyn. These books are fantastic. But that's not why I picked Darth Bane. I picked Darth Bane because he established the rule of 2 amongst the Sith Lords. He was the one that decided our infighting is ridiculous. We need to go low key and not let them see us coming and become a master and apprentice, where the master has the power and the apprentice craves the power. His goal was to destroy the Jedi Order, a goal that Sidious lived out, because Bane even knew, he's like, I probably won't see this goal come to fruition. And he didn't, because he was killed by his apprentice, by the way.
As is their nature.
As is their nature. And Sidious actually fulfilled Bane's goal. So I think he's important, because everything we've seen in the movies where Sidious succeeded is because of Darth Bane. And all of it can be drawn back to Darth Bane. So anyway, that's my top guy. They could make an absolutely stunning trilogy off of these 3 books. I open it up for comments.
I will leave that to Bear.
I couldn't agree more. Like you said, the Rule of Two, he basically started the Sith's like journey to take over, right? And Sidious obviously ended that. But the Rule of Two, I mean, it brought on so many more things than a lot of people think about. So one of the main things that I like to bring up when we're talking about the Rule of Two, so he started this whole thing where, think of the Jedi, right? There's a lot of Jedi, there's a lot of training, there's a lot of teachers and masters, right?
Yeah.
So if you only have 2, how are you supposed to do that? The way that they would do it is they would have their apprentice train on highly trained droids. So you program the droids to teach them everything you want them to learn, and it gives a whole different way of learning, in my opinion, right? You're not fighting your friends.
Yeah.
You're fighting someone, it's a droid. You're actually trying to rip it in half. In Jedi, we're training with our friends. You know, if you guys have ever done like jujitsu or Muay Thai or anything like that, when you're sparring your friend, it's a whole different level. Like, you're not trying to take his head off. So I think the Rule of Two in that way, and I don't want to go off on a tangent here too deep, but
we love tangents.
That's what we do.
That was such a, I think, like, path changing for the Sith, to where so many things stemmed off the Rule of Two. And for him to start it, I actually watched a YouTube video. It was either yesterday or the day before. And they said it's such a good pick, because they were talking about how he could revitalize the Star Wars legacy. And it could open up so many doors.
Wow.
So that was there's a big discussion on why they should bring him back. And I think jumping back and starting there, and kind of like Marvel, right? Like, there's some things they base off of comic books. And instead of trying to make these new characters that keep flopping, hopefully Disney takes a break in whatever facet that is. I think that would be an incredible way to do it. And yeah, like Sidious and Plagueis, they laughed at the idea of dueling. So if you didn't have that Rule of Two, you wouldn't have these two creating something different, right? They believe that using they're above dueling. I don't need my lightsaber. My powers go beyond dueling with a lightsaber. But in a cruel manner, they became some of, if the not best, duelist. So it's kind of, I make the analogy, it's like becoming an NFL player, being an absolute legend, making the Hall of Fame, breaking all the records, and then on your final day, you do an interview and you go, yeah, I did it because football is easy and you guys are lame. Which just, it's one of the most hilarious things in the Star Wars franchise to me, that they become but that all stems from the Rule of Two. And I think he's a really cool character, and he has a really good backstory. I think he had like a temple for execution. If I remember right, I think it was him. He had like a temple for executions.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we're getting into dark stuff there, which I think is what, Star Wars, what we like about
basically had his
Star
own
Wars.
private murder closet.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a temple that, he would do some executions in, whatever. But yeah.
Well, if he had like more than one, Sith vying for the apprentice role, hey, let's just put them in a room, and then whichever one walks out of there.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, awesome choice. I really like that choice, and I couldn't agree more. That'd be a a great person to bring for a live action. I think it'd be a little difficult to bring him into live action though.
Oh, was
yeah,
that?
and I don't disagree with you. Anytime you're talking about old Republic era, whether it be 5,000 or 25,000, which I'm going to get to later, it's going to be tough because you still need to stay connected to the fan base. And I'm talking the movie fan base, the people like me and you. We're going to be an easy sell. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to go watch it. But if you're a movie only person or animated only, it's tough because you're not going to have any characters that connect them. So anyway,
Well,
I was thinking
I'm curious. Oh yeah, I was gonna say you mentioned that you thought it would be difficult to bring him over. Why do you think that?
exactly what Jay said. It'd be hard to cap it. It's such a, I mean, when you're going that deep, that's hard to sell to the general public. But I also thought of the opposite of that. If I play devil's advocate to that, would you rather see Kylo Ren walking out in like a opening scene or something, or would you rather watch Bane walk out in an opening scene? And like if I think you could frame the trailer right, and you could captivate enough people to where they're like, "Oh crap, this movie's gonna be something else. Like this is a different
yeah.
kind of Star Wars." That might draw them in, but who
Well, I mean,
knows? Who knows?
as somebody that doesn't have all this knowledge of the extended universe and all this sort of like deep lore, and the fact that I loved Episode 7, they immediately established. Now, granted, the the sort of nuance and the complicated story and all that stuff that they could have told with Kylo Ren eventually fell apart. But in Episode 7, when you still had faith that they were going to do something cool with him, they established him immediately as a really cool character where he like froze the laser, like immediately froze it, and instead of didn't even block it, he just like froze the laser in midair. And that was our first introduction to Kylo Ren. So it was like, oh my goodness. So you make them look cool. You do something like that establishes them as this powerful figure, and you can do it. So even if I didn't have any knowledge of Darth Bane or whomever, like you can certainly do like a thing, present them where in 15, 20 seconds, you already are like, okay, I need to pay attention to this guy.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I think with a Darth Bane, and it'd be easy to do. And in today's day and age where we've had Game of Thrones and we've had some of these super dark stories, this story would need to be dark. There's nothing childlike about the Darth Bane story. It is dark, it is brutal, it is tormenting. And it would need to be that way. It would need to be made that way.
Totally agree. It would have to be one heck of a brutal movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like they need that. I mean, that's when you're a Star Wars fan, you like the fighting, you like the wars. Everyone loves Darth Vader, the dark character. I mean,
yeah,
they need that a little bit, I think, in my personal opinion.
I agree. I think it'd be a great thing. I mean, they've started to do that with Marvel. They've got Daredevil where they're willing to go all in on the violence and the darkness and all that stuff. So they could certainly do it. How about you, Bear? Who's the first one on your list, or whatever order you want to list them in?
So I'm kind of following suit with Jay, and I picked Nihilus.
nice.
If we want to talk about a brutal movie or a cool character, it kind of goes in the same line. It'd be tough to explain the story because you can't really have him technically fighting anyone. So if you don't know, Nihilus, at least in what they said about him, his voice could kill you. He was so powerful. Being in the same room would kill you. He was so powerful. And for lack of a better term, he ate an entire planet that held a secret Jedi meeting. So I know they could spin it to where it'd be a good movie or series. I know they could do it. There is a way to figure it out where it'd be captivating, where it wasn't just like, oh yeah, this guy's just flying through and eating planets left and right. No one can touch him. The way he is defeated is a very interesting story to me. So you'd have this extremely dark, interesting character. He had a really cool backstory. And the way that he's defeated, I think, would be kind of in line with Disney's, uh, what they've been going with lately. So he's basically defeated by his, it's a woman, which is cool. And it's kind of like the word escapes me, but it's like a loophole. So basically, he gets his powers in kind of a loophole fashion, and then he gets defeated in kind of a loophole fashion. And I think they'd be able to spin it. I think he's labeled often as the scariest of all the Sith, which is a pretty high totem in my opinion. So I picked Nihilus because I think it would bring back that like fear of the Sith. It would really showcase their actual power. Kylo Ren was extremely disappointing to me when you come from people like Bane and you come from people like Nihilus. The Sith aren't weak how do I want to put this? They're so powerful that they shouldn't even be within, eyesight distance of someone who isn't fully prepared. And when Kylo Ren was in a duel, I understand he didn't want to kill Rey. But when we're coming from a lineage like Nihilus, where if you just hear him talk, you're dead. If you're in the same room as him, if you're hanging out with the guy, you're dead. I think if we're coming from that type of lineage of Sith, Kylo Ren was a huge disappointment. And I think that's part of the reason that old school fans just couldn't even watch it. Like Rey picks up a lightsaber and she's dueling the Sith apprentice to the highest power in the Sith, and Nihilus was able to just eat a planet with a secret Jedi meeting on it. It's just a huge step up in game level. And even if you get to, like I said about the dueling earlier, right? They're two of the highest skill level duelists in all of Jedi history. And Kylo Ren's supposed to be, I get it, like Thrawn was like a remnants of Sidious, right? I believe that's what they called it. He was like a creation. But if they're training with droids, why wouldn't he have the same skill levels? Why wouldn't he have the same training? It's droids. He should, if it's a remnants of Sidious, he should know how to train his apprentice, right? So I think bringing Nihilus into it would be a familiar-ish character to the hardcore fans. I think it would draw in new fans because he's such a creepy and just kind of dirty character. And I think it would give him a little break and time to develop a good story going forward. Because they keep just... Rogue One was a great movie. Loved the movie. Loved the main character. I loved all the characters, really. But everything kind of around it. Han Solo was okay. I kind of liked it. It wasn't terrible. But there's a few movies in there that people literally want Disney to just get like erase from, which they've done with shows. They've actually went back.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the show was called, but they just erased it and said we didn't do this. There's people who want them to do that with the movies that they've put out lately. And I don't think that's necessary. But I think with Nihilus, there's enough material to draw back on, and Bane, frankly, that would give you enough time to really sit, study, and think about what your next movie for the future would be. So Bane and Nihilus, I mean, honestly, they're probably coincide for me. I'd like to see both of them equally.
Yeah, and Nihilus has a direct tie to Knights of the Old Republic 2, which I know Russ loves. That's his favorite of the two. My favorite's actually the first one. But yeah, the funny thing is, man, if I hadn't mentioned Bane, my second choice would have been Nihilus. So it's one of those things where, I'm happy somebody brought Nihilus into the equation. I was hoping Bane, Nihilus, and Marker Ragnos would make an appearance tonight, but we'll see. So that's all I have.
Oh, never
You're
mind.
muted.
I was talking and I was muted. Well, it doesn't matter. I was gonna say, well, you
Yeah.
stole mine with the last one that you mentioned, but obviously not. I don't know who that was. This Magnos, whatever thing you just mentioned.
Marker Ragnos.
Yeah. So I'm not in the extended universe, so I'm just gonna my kids table thing just to get my participation trophy in tonight's topic is gonna be would be if we were gonna go with the Darth, the Sith. I have one Sith on my list, and that would be Darth Revan because of the Knights of the Republic series, and I loved Revan.
Dude, Revan's a great character, man. Just because it's from a game, I mean, Revan is fantastic.
I mean, it's just from my
character.
very limited knowledge of the greater Star Wars lore.
He's
what's
super
your
popular too.
big call out for Revan?
I agree. I think he's more well known when we're in the realm of like my second choice was Scion, Darth Scion. So I think Revan would be much more well known in a better sell. So I like that choice. That's a good choice.
All right, back to you, Jay.
Okay, my second one is more about it's centered on a character, but it's more about an area of time that we need a more fleshed out story. And we got it in the books, but we have not got it in the movies, and we have not got it in any of the animated series. And that is Jedi Master Sifo Dyas. And, we hear in episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan talking to Lama Su on Kamino, and Lama Su saying, yeah, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas ordered this clone army. And Obi-Wan saying, Sifo Dyas died 10 years ago. What's going on here? And that's it. That's all they mentioned. That was the end of it. And if you read the book by James Luceno, Darth Plagueis, or if you read any of James Luceno's Darth Vader trilogy that includes the episode 3 Revenge of the Sith novelization, you get the whole fleshed out story about how him and Dooku met with Plagueis, his original name, which was like Damask Helgo or whatever. And they had talked about how he felt like the Republic was going in a dark direction and they might need an army. And Sifo Dyas finally, after 20 years, decided, this guy's right, and goes to Kamino. And then Dooku kills Sifo Dyas. We need that story. And it's much like what Bear was talking about earlier. This is more of a story of intrigue than it is action and adventure. There's a few lightsaber battles in this story, to be sure. Trivia point, when Dooku had Sifo Dyas killed, he took his lightsaber and he took the blood of Sifo Dyas and fused it into what would become General Grievous and gave him Sifo Dyas' lightsaber as his first gift. So there's a bigger plot point. When people see Grievous, they're like, oh, this is this cybernetic droid thing that's, a boss level character, but there's more to it than that. And I really think I like some of these, what I call gap stories that fill gaps. And the Sifo Dyas story has Sifo Dyas. It has Dooku, still a Jedi. It has a very young Qui-Gon Jinn. It has a very young Sheev Palpatine, who's just an apprentice to Darth Plagueis. It has Darth Plagueis. It has Yoda and a Mace Windu story in there. There's a lot there. So I just feel like he's one of those hub characters. And it would be awesome to have a good story about that.
That'd be a really good one. That would explain a lot, because I feel like it could tie in Grievous's backstory, which is it's a lot deeper than a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
That would open up a lot of possibilities. I really like that. That would give them the chance to just take that to the moon as far as they could. That's a great one.
Thank you, sir.
All right, your next one, Bear?
I stayed with, okay, these are my two favorite characters, so I stayed with the whole Sith path that I like. If you can't tell, I made a Sith helmet out of an abandoned toaster I found while hunting.
That's amazing.
I would go with Scion. He would be my second choice, and that's only if we couldn't do a movie about Nihilus. Scion had kind of a similar ending where it was kind of like a loophole. He got convinced to die. If you don't know his backstory, he basically dies multiple times, and holds himself together with the Force. So basically, his hate and love of pain and suffering keep him alive. So I think it'd be another way to really show like what the lineage is of the Sith. I think there's a lot of backstory you could throw in there, and I think it'd be a gateway for casual fans to get in a little more deep. And the way that he dies is an interesting story, and I think it'd be something that Disney could use to their advantage and their style that they've been using lately. But again, we're talking, he's basically a zombie, for lack of a better term.
And the
And
embodiment
he
of
is like,
hate, it sounds like.
yeah, exactly. So it would be another one of those
Yeah.
movies where it's like, you're not bringing your kids to this movie kind of deal. So
Well,
it'd be a little bit tough sell.
I would be on board because you've twice now, the last two that you've mentioned, you've talked about how it's like loopholes that beat them. And I love those kinds of situations. In fact, that's one thing that I thought the further we got into the Marvel movies, that's one of the things that they started to lose, is because like earlier on, the whole thing was we have a villain, the villain is unstoppable until we figure out what's his weakness, what's this thing, what's the one thing that we can take advantage of. And that's what made it interesting. That's what made it so compelling to watch. And then later it just became who can hit who the hardest. And that's not interesting. It doesn't that's not compelling.
Yeah.
You know, so having something like that where it's a puzzle, like it's a high stakes puzzle that you have to figure out, and it's not just that, oh, they won because they were more powerful. It's because they won because they were smarter and they figured this out. Like I like those kinds of that added dimension to things like that, where it's not just like, you know, just straight up like, well, I'm gonna hit you, then you hit me, then I'm gonna hit you, then you hit me, and whoever falls first loses.
I agree. Yeah, I love when it's like a unstoppable force, and then you have these people kind of plotting in the background, and then they get the win, and you're like, oh my gosh, would have never even thought that's how it was going to
Yeah.
end. I love stories like that. Yeah.
Same. Like I think that's what makes it really interesting, and like, yeah, keeps you like invested till the end.
Oh yeah.
So I would love to see that. Just to go back to mine, I guess I will throw in obviously from Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order is Cal Kestis. You know, and I think this is also the most likely to happen, just because
Yeah.
the game it's an actor, one, and he gave his actual likeness to the game. He has expressed,
And he's a good actor.
yeah, and he has expressed countless times that he wants to play this role on screen. So I think it is the most likely and the easiest one to do. But yeah, I thought that was a great character. I enjoyed following his whole arc in Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. I'm super stoked about the third one. Yeah, I would love to see Cal Kestis.
Speaking to, you said likeness to the character, Jay, did you ever hear the story of Sam Witwer and how he actually got his role?
No, I have not. I mean, I feel like I've watched every Sam Witwer interview ever, but apparently I missed one.
You might have heard, you probably heard it, you might in like passing maybe. So apparently his friend was working on Starkiller. And when they unveiled the poster, he goes, hey, you know, I know a guy that looks just like this dude. And then he called him and he said, come down to the studio right now. He walks in and he goes, hey, that's me. And they go, yeah, that is you. And that's apparently how he got his start as it.
What the hell, bro?
I hope I'm not wrong on that. I'm 99% positive I watched an interview where he said that.
That would be an awesome
it's
stroke
not
of
what-
luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not about what you do, it's who you know. That's such a crazy example.
That's just like such an aligning of the planets, where like not only do you happen to look like this person, but you happen to know somebody that's working on the game. You know, the whole or you know, whatever, like to get to that point, like that, so many things have to align in just the right way.
Yeah, and
it's funny because he ended up being the voice for like everybody on that game. He was Starkiller, he was the Emperor, it was insane. Whose turn is it?
I believe it would be yours, Jay.
So my last one before my honorable mention, and guys, this is digging into the ephemera like crazy. This is 25,000 years before the battle. Let me set this scene. 25,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, when the Jedi were called the Jedi, and they originated on the planet Tython, and they practiced both light and dark. The objective being that they achieved a balance and never used too much of either one. And this was a book that was written by Tim Levin about a character named Lannery Brock and her brother Dalian. And she was what was called a Jedi Ranger. And you can see here she's not carrying a lightsaber. This was back when the Jedi used vibroblades. So this was pre-lightsaber. And the Jedi Rangers were like almost like a galactic cop. They went around solving cases and problems that planets had and systems had. And she got put on a case with an underlying dark side force theme, and ended up having to take on her brother, who was jealous of her ability. And he embraced the dark side, and she's chasing this conspiracy the whole time, and then find out in the end it's her brother, who she loved as a child. And these stories are stories that I think they could tell. And again, much like Bear said earlier, to reach a broader audience or to bring people into the story and let them go deep and give them something new. I mean, we're talking about an age pre-lightsaber. We're talking about an age where what would become the Jedi practice both sides of the Force. And in those, back before Disney took over, Tython was considered in canon basically the origin planet of the Force. And so these people are super strong. And I'm sure we didn't have many chlorine counts at this point, but they were super strong in the Force. She's one of my favorite characters. After I read this book, Tim Levin did a great job laying out this character. And there's a bunch of flashbacks, and there's a short story in the foreword that covers what it was like 25,000 years ago. And it was a really interesting take on what, like I said, what would become the Jedi Order and a more pure time for them. Because let's be clear, if you watched episode 3 the way I did, they weren't all freaking warm fuzzies and good stuff. They screwed Anakin over big time. At least in my opinion. I mean, Anakin still had to make the choice to fall, but they pushed him over the edge. So anyway, that's my third one.
That's a good one. I really like going back in the archives, and when there's so much more to Star Wars than if you just like watch the movies that you would never even know about. I really liked back, I can't remember the story, but it was a story about when the Sith first started and they were using alchemy to improve and they chose swords over lightsabers, and they would use alchemy to improve the power and all that good. I feel like going back in the archives like that would be such an interesting, and it just opens up so many stories. Unlimited amount of stories. That's a great choice. I like that.
Thank you.
All right, and then what would be yours, Bear, for the last of your three?
I chose Grievous.
Interesting.
For some reason, I really like his backstory. He was considered it would kind of be a big redemption story that I think Disney would take a liking to, maybe. Or like, it would be a decent blend between old and new fans. He was like outcasted by his home planet, came back to be the greatest warrior, led them to battle, and then was ultimately tricked. And then when they put him back into this droid body, they manipulated his brain. And I think all of it would be a really cool story. And depending on the timeline and how far you take it, I think so obviously his whole backstory would be like a one-off, which I'm biased because I just want to see it because I like him. Depending on how far you take it, it'll give you a lot of background as well. And it's one of those kind of going into the archives, and it's just a really cool redemption story, but then it dips back down into what I like most, an evil Sith. So I don't know. That one's a little more personal to me. I don't think it would do great, and I don't think that many people would be drawn to it. I don't think it'd be a good sell. But personally, I want to see that.
Well, I think having one that would be loved by few is better than having what they have right now, which is big ones that are hated by many. You know, like
Yeah.
you got so many people watching them that are just over it. Like I think building something small and building out from there might be the way to do it if they were to be able to try to do something to kind of like dig themselves out of the hole they've dug.
Absolutely.
My third one is another one that was on the poll, which it's HK47. It's got to be HK47. You know, he was just cool. We didn't even get to see the full extent of his character even in the game to what they wanted. You know, large parts of his story were cut out. Some of it's been restored via mods. I haven't done that, and we still have the long rumored, much troubled, it would seem, long gestating remake of the KOTOR, but and they're supposed to restore some of that. But I would love to see HK in there. He's a droid. But most of the droids, especially now, the whole thing is make them cute, make them marketable, and whereas he's not cute, he's a jerk. He's specious, I guess would be the word.
He's a psychotic lunatic, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't like humans. So yeah, I don't know. I think it would just be really funny. I just love HK, so that would be my third pick.
Yeah, I would love to see a droid-centered story. That would be hilarious. From a droid,
he doesn't even have to be the center of it. I just love to see him.
So
you just want him to make a guest appearance in the
say what?
Just pop out of nowhere in the movie.
Yeah, or just like have him be a supporting character or something like that. But anybody that watches for any amount of time knows that Jay loves to break his own rules that he establishes for these games, these challenges, these lists that he has. So in true Jay form, Jay has commanded that we restrict ourselves to 3 choices, while he has gone through the Sisyphean what's the whatever, the trial of Sisyphus, right? He has taken this task on and he has narrowed it down to 4 for himself. So he had 3 plus a little bonus that he allowed himself to have as an honorable mention. So Jay, go ahead and put in your rule breaker.
I don't feel it more as as much a rule breaker as this is a good way to cap off the category.
However you choose to justify it.
With an honorable mention that I think brings us all together, because this one comes from a game. This is my honorable mention, and it is none other than Dash Rendar from Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, both the novel and the game, which was on the Nintendo 64. Still has the best example of the Hoth battle scene in the snowspeeder that you'll find. He flies the upgraded version of the YT-1300, which is the YT-2600, dubbed the Outrider. He's very much a Han Solo, Boba Fett, like just fusion. There's a great level where you have to fight IG-88.
I was about to say, is that IG-88 under his elbow?
Yes. Yeah. You fight Boba Fett in the hangar at Jabba's palace. The big boss is Prince Shizor, which you see in the right side of that photo, and the Black Sun Syndicate. Until Disney took over, this was a canon story. This also, again, told the story of the gap, because a lot of people don't know this. Han Solo was frozen in carbonite for a year. For a year. This story is how Luke and Leia and Lando and Chewie and R2 and C-3PO gained access to Jabba's palace for the beginning of Return of the Jedi, was through Prince Shizor. They had to do a job for him. And this is what this game tells. This is the story that it tells. So, it fills a very, very important gap that most people didn't even know existed.
Well, that
I
artwork is
ask-
very clearly a product of its time, by the way. That is
It
definitely
certainly is.
Can I ask
Certainly is.
who would you want to cast to play him?
Dash Rendar? Oh my goodness. Man, it'd have to be like a Glenn Powell type. Ryan Gosling, Glenn Powell.
basically anybody that could also play Booster Gold.
Basically anybody that could also play Booster Gold. I oddly enough would not cast. Wow, I would also not cast Henry Cavill for this, even though 99% of everybody would for every role. But yeah, this is definitely a Ryan Gosling, Glenn Powell-ish type of role because you have to be charming, you have to be debonair, you still have to be dirty, and be a bounty hunter type, and be able to dig in there with the shit in this one. So, yeah. Anyway, Dash Rendar is my honorable mention.
Do you guys recall the movie Dodgeball at all?
Yes.
Yes.
You know White Goodman?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to see White Goodman playing with the hair. I'd like his attitude in there with.
Yeah. Made me throw up in my own mouth a little bit there.
I guess before we wrap this one up, I will say I forgot to mention just a couple of things, maybe even just one thing on the Harry Potter. This will be very quick because I actually have one thing that I regret, and I will correct myself. So, first of all, like I said, we're done with it for the time being. We've given our opinions until we get more information. It's been fun, but I'm not looking forward to doing that again for a minute. However, somebody did call, and as I was editing the video, it made me cringe, and I was like, "Oh, God!" And that was that I mistakenly began to use British and English interchangeably when talking about accents. I would refer to a British accent whenever I should have been referring to an English accent, saying like, "Oh, Scottish accent versus a British accent," when it would actually be a Scottish accent versus an English accent, whenever technically they would both be British accents because they are both under the British Kingdom. So I apologize for anyone that I deeply offended. No, not really, but I did. I watched that. It made me cringe. Where I was like, I should have said
I
English.
hope not, man.
I should have said English. So that was the one thing. Yes, I know the difference. I just misspoke. My bad. That was the only thing. Everything else I completely stand by.
I wouldn't have caught that either. So no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
The English are too many.
But all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Anybody else have any final things in closing?
I do not, other than to say, man, Barrett, it's been a pleasure having you on here with us tonight, man. It was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, appreciate you being a special guest, man. Have to have you back on.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast. I hope we can do it again. Just let me know.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy this stemmed off of a Harry Potter conversation in the comments.
Yeah. See, this is what happens whenever you vehemently disagree with us. Maybe you'll end up right here in this square. So,
or that square up there.
But yeah, thank you so much. And we will see you guys in a week. Thank you for Bear Adventures. If you liked what you saw here, like and subscribe. And then, of course, at Bear Adventures, if you look at our title, you can click there. That'll take you to Bear's channel and see what he's got going on. So, all right, well, that's all we got. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you later.
I must leave you a dude.